Courtney Love crashed Madonna's interview, hurled makeup at her, and slurred insults like it was an open mic night for chaos. That wasn't just rockstar behavior, it was a declaration of war. The 90s weren't just about iconic music, they were loaded with legendary feuds, backstabbing, and band-on-band chaos that made headlines louder than guitars. And we're gonna dive into some, starting with number 6, Courtney Love versus everyone. If drama were an Olympic sport, Courtney Love would have taken home the gold, platinum, and a restraining order. She didn't just feud with other bands, she bulldozed through the 90s rock scene like a tabloid tornado with a mic. Her beef with Dave Grohl was rooted in control and legacy. Courtney believed Grohl was exploiting Kurt Cobain's name in Nirvana's posthumous success, while she wanted tighter control over everything Kurt left behind. Things went nuclear when she accused Grohl of hitting on her daughter, Frances Bean, a claim he denied, while Grohl fired back, calling her manipulative and unstable. With Billy Corgan, the exes turned enemies. Their relationship ended, but instead of parting ways peacefully, Courtney mocked his looks and called him a failed genius. Corgan wasn't having it. He said she used people and couldn't stand out being the center of attention. The mutual contempt was loud in public. Then there was Trent Reznor. Courtney claimed they hooked up, but Reznor denied it, calling her a liar. That denial triggered a meltdown. She accused him of lying to protect his image and mocked his masculinity. The feud turned into a passive-aggressive war of who was more embarrassed by the other. Courtney's MTV Madonna ambush? Fueled by jealousy. She hated polished pop. She crashed, threw makeup, and slurred insults. Gwen? She called her a grunge thief. Axl? She yelled at him backstage, told him to shut your fat face, and nearly threw hands. In the end, Courtney Love wasn't just fighting people. She was fighting for control, recognition, and revenge. And honestly, it was some of the most chaotic, iconic drama rock ever gave us. Crave more unfiltered stories like this? Hit like, smash subscribe, and keep the chaos coming. Number 5. Pearl Jam vs Ticketmaster. Who picks a fight with the entire concert industry and actually means it? Pearl Jam, the flannel-wrapped rebels who declared war on Ticketmaster for one simple reason. They believed the company was ripping off their fans. In the mid-90s, while other bands were swimming in MTV money, Pearl Jam looked at Ticketmaster's near total control of concert venues and the sky-high service fees they tacked onto every ticket, and said, "This is straight-up robbery." The band accused Ticketmaster of operating like a monopoly, inflating prices and exploiting fans just to pad their profits. And they weren't bluffing. Eddie Vedder even testified before Congress in full grunge mode, saying they'd rather cancel shows than sell out to corporate greed. Pearl Jam hated Ticketmaster for abusing his power. Ticketmaster hated Pearl Jam for calling them out and encouraging other artists to revolt. Determined to cut ties, Pearl Jam tried organizing an entire tour without using any Ticketmaster-affiliated venues. And you know what happened? A logistical nightmare. Most venues were already locked into Ticketmaster, leaving Pearl Jam with almost no options. No venues, no insurance, no radio love. The industry basically iced them out. In the end, they had no choice but to crawl back. But still, it was a rare moment when a band put their money where their mouth was and risked everything to stand up for fans. 4. Metallica vs Megadeth. What happens when you get kicked out of a band and then decide to out-metal them out of sheer spite? Welcome to the metal soap opera that is Metallica vs Megadeth, a decades-long grunge match with more drama than a reality TV reunion special, just with more shredding and fewer roses. In the early 80s, Dave Mustaine was fired from Metallica for being too much, too wild, too drunk, and too unpredictable. He clashed constantly with other members, and his substance-fueled chaos was derailing the band. They kicked him out just before recording their first album, replacing him without a heads up. No warning, no second chance, just a one-way ticket home on a Greyhound bus. Humiliated and burning with vengeance, Mustaine channeled all that rage into Megadeth, a band born from betrayal, with one mission: to be louder, faster, and more brutal than the guys who dumped him. And you know what? For a minute, it worked. Megadeth exploded. But for Mustaine, success wasn't enough. He wanted recognition. All through the 90s, he popped off in interviews, accusing Metallica of stealing his riffs, downplaying his influence, and selling out with radio-friendly hits. Meanwhile, Metallica, they were topping charts, winning Grammys, and mostly pretending he didn't exist. That silence? Probably the cruelest insult of all. Fans picked sides like it was a holy war. Mustaine's purest rage versus Metallica's polished dominance. Then came group therapy, which cooled things down a little. But in thrash metal, forgiveness is optional. The riffs are heavy. 3. Smashing Pumpkins vs. Pavement. What happens when indie cool kids poke the bear of alt-rock drama? You get Smashing Pumpkins vs. Pavement, the pettiest, most deliciously hipster feud of the 90s. It all kicked off with Pavement's 1994 song Rangeline, where they name-dropped Smashing Pumpkins and mocked them with the line, "Nature kids, they don't have any function." It wasn't just a random jab, it was a pointed diss at Billy Corgan's dramatic arena rock ambitions, implying his music was overblown and totally out of touch with the DIY indie scene. That one offhand lyric, it lit a firestorm. Billy Corgan, never one to take criticism lightly, took it as a direct attack on his credibility. Instead of brushing it off, he launched into full meltdown mode in interviews, branding Pavement as jealous, talentless nobodies. According to rumors, he even tried to get them removed from Lollapalooza's lineup, seeing them as indie pests who didn't deserve to share the stage with serious rock bands. Pavement? They couldn't have cared less. Staying true to their slacker aesthetic, they doubled down on the sarcasm and let Billy unravel in public. And when Corgan dropped that infamous line, "We're not indie, we're the Smashing Pumpkins. We actually sell records," it only added fuel to the irony fire. This wasn't a typical feud. It was indie snark versus alt-rock ego, a slow-burning war of aesthetic, tone, and attitude. One band wore their pain on their sleeves, the other just shrugged and smirked. And honestly, it was indie drama at its finest. 2. Nirvana vs. Guns N' Roses. Now what do you get when you mix grunge snark with glam metal ego? Only one of the most chaotic, unfiltered, and deliciously petty feuds in rock history. Nirvana vs. Guns N' Roses. At its core, this wasn't just personal, it was ideological warfare. Kurt Cobain despised everything GNR represented. The leather pants, the sexist lyrics, the bloated guitar solos. To him, they symbolized the toxic excess and macho posturing of 80s rock, the exact thing Nirvana was trying to bury. He straight up called them shallow and corporate in interviews, rejecting everything they stood for musically and morally. Axl Rose? He didn't take that lightly. Known for his temper and towering ego, he fired back hard, accusing Nirvana of being fake rebels, playing humble just to look cool. He even invited them to open for GNR on tour, a move that was either a peace offering or a power play. Kurt, seeing it as a trap, refused. Then came the 1992 MTV VMAs. Courtney Love, never shy, sarcastically asked Axl to babysit their daughter. Axl exploded, barking at Kurt to keep your woman in line. Kurt, he just grinned and joked. "Do you think he's gonna beat us up?" That moment was pure chaotic gold. This wasn't just a feud, it was flannel versus spandex, DIY versus stadium glam. Nirvana saw GNR as the enemy of authenticity. GNR saw Nirvana as pretentious punks. In the end, Nirvana got the legacy, but GNR, they brought the unforgettable drama. And at number 1, we have Oasis vs. Blur. The Britpop wars wasn't just about music. They were a full-blown, headline-hogging celebrity meltdown with guitars. And at the very messy, very British center of it all, Oasis vs. Blur. A feud so petty, so public, and so endlessly quotable, it felt more like a reality show than a rivalry. What fueled the fire? Class war and culture clash. Oasis were the scrappy Manchester lads, led by the forever feuding Gallagher brothers. Working class, loud, and raised on cigarettes and swagger. Blur? Total opposites. Art school boys from the south, led by Damon Albarn, who wore his cleverness like a crown. To Oasis, Blur were smug posh kids with fake accents and soft hands. To Blur, Oasis were uncultured thugs pretending to be rock messiahs. Oasis struck first, calling Blur Chas and Dave, a jab branding them novelty act posh boys. Blur clapped back with sly lyrics and smug interviews, the Britpop version of throwing stones at a pub fight. Then came the nuclear moment in 1995. Both bands dropped singles on the same day. The press dubbed it as the Battle of Britpop. Blur's Country House barely outsold Oasis's Roll With It. And suddenly, it wasn't just music. It was North versus South, working class versus middle class, lagger versus lats. Liam threatened to punch Damon. Noel went nuclear, saying he hoped Damon and Alex James caught AIDS, a comment so vile he had to sort of apologize. This wasn't just about hits, it was about ego, pride, and who got to define British cool. Decades later, we're still obsessed. Long live the Britpop beef. Which 90s band feud shocked you the most? Drop it in the comments. If this backstage drama rocked your world, don't forget to like and share. And hey, ever wondered which 60 rock bands were heavenly? Or downright sinful? Check this video out and subscribe for that wild ride.